In this video, we're going to walk through some of the basic operations that you can do within the IT Operations Toolkit. So let me open up the application and show you what I have here. Like in the last video, I've gone through and I've actually built out some devices that I have in the lab to just walk you through some of the power behind the application. So as you can see, I've added some servers, some switches, and some other items. So just to get started with the switches, let me show you some of the really cool things you can do. So I have four 3750 switches. I'm going to go ahead and put my username in here and my password. And what I can actually do is right click and SSH directly to the devices right from here. And as you can see, if it was, a Telnet type device, I could use Telnet. If it was a server, I could RDP. If it was a, like a wireless LAN controller or maybe an F5 load balancer, I could connect into the web interface. So let's go ahead and SSH. And what you'll see is it's actually fired up Secure CRT and it's logged me into the switch. Now, if you're running, multi-factor or something like that at your organization, this may not work for you, obviously, because the password and the username are going to rotate. In which case, you have to put your, your multi-factor PIN in, depending upon how your system works. But since I'm just using local credentials on my stuff, I can go ahead and just, put my credentials in, right-click, and launch an SSH session directly to the device. Now you'll notice it opened up in Secure CRT. So what if you don't have Secure CRT? Let me show you. If you go under Options and Configuration, here you can set what type of terminal application you're using for the SSH function. And you'll see it's using the default path for Secure CRT. If you have Secure CRT installed somewhere else, this may not work for you. Right out of the box. You might have to actually go in here and change it. But say you wanted to use PuTTY, you can go ahead and click the PuTTY radio button, and you'd have to change this to the path where that putty.exe sits. Now, just to make things simple for this video, I actually put the PuTTY executable in the same folder as Secure CRT. So I'm just going to save that and show you what it looks like. So again, you would change this to the path where putty.exe sits, change the radio button, and save changes. And then you go ahead and press close. Now, when I right click and SSH, it'll open up in PuTTY. And the real cool thing is, if you have multiple devices, you can right click and SSH into all of them, and they'll open in different pages. Had I left it as Secure CRT, it would open these all as separate tabs within Secure CRT. So it gives you a real fast way to log into all of your devices. One thing I want to show you is whenever you make a custom change in the application, it'll actually write a text file to your desktop that has the settings differences in it. So just be cognizant of once you make a custom change in the settings, you will now have a notepad file on your computer that kind of stores those changes. If you ever want to go back to the defaults, you just delete that notepad file. All right, so now we're back to the application. We have 4 devices, and I've shown you how you could, whether it's a server, you can RDP, SSH, whether it's a network device, you can SSH, etc. So that gives you a nice way of, quickly being able to access stuff. Another nice thing is if it's a website link, you can put that in and right click, and then you could navigate to it, and it'll open the browser window right to whatever you click on. So if you have some pretty important links, you can put those all there. Again, if maybe it's a web interface to something, you can put those there as well. So if we want to get into a little bit more power, there's a couple of things you probably noticed when you right-clicked, and you can do this for multiple items as well. But if you right-click, you can actually initiate a ping to the device. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to do a quick ping to that first device. And here you go. It's going to show you the results of a ping. And then if you wanted to check all 4 of these devices, you can highlight all 4. You click the first one, hold down Shift, click the last one, right click, and you can do a direct ping here as well. And as you can see, it has actually pinged all 4 devices. And you have the output from all 4 of those devices here. Similar function, you can right click and do a trace route. And obviously I'm sitting on the same subnet as this device. But if it was a further away from me, you would see all the different hops listed here via traceroute. So this gives you a very quick way to check and see reachability to your applications or servers, etc. Now I'd like to walk you through a little bit more powerful command functionality here. Is say you wanted to run some commands on these switches, or if they were servers or firewalls, etc. You can actually run commands on several devices very quickly using this application. I've actually used it on more than 100 devices at a time, and it's completed within 20 seconds, running a variety of different commands, and it's given me the command output. Let me show you how you do it. So what you can do is, up here in this box, you can type in some custom commands. So say you want to do show version, show CDP neighbors, and show IP ARP. Just some random commands I'm picking just to show you how it works. You'd put your username and password in, which we've already done. You'd click your first device, hold down Shift, click your last device, so you have all four selected. And we want to run these three commands on these four switches. So we'll right click and we'll go down to where it says execute custom command. And we'll click there. It's going to give you a warning, and it's going to say, do you want to run these three commands on these four devices? It's saying using device type of various. I'm going to explain that in a minute. We're going to go ahead and press yes, and we're going to give it a couple seconds here. It's running. All right, and it has completed. So it's on four devices. It's failed on 0, succeeded on 4. It took about 16.68 seconds. If we scroll up to the top, we can see it's initiated show version, show CDP neighbors, show IP ARP on this first switch, and it breaks each command down by a header. So this is the show CDP neighbors for that, and this is the show IP ARP for that. Now we're on to the next switch, show version, show CDP neighbors, show IP ARP, and so on and so forth. They're all here. Now, if you want to save this output, you can go File, Save Command Output to File, and it'll actually allow you to save it to a text file. Or you can do Control A on your keyboard, Control C. Now all this is in your clipboard, and now you could go to a notepad file and you could paste it all in or paste it into an application, whatever. So now I want to talk to you a little bit about where it said, device type various. So the way this application works in the background, it's actually using NetMiko, and it's trying some common device types to execute the commands. Obviously, if we iterated through every single device type that NetMiko has, this command set would take forever to run. So if you're trying to do something and it's not running properly for you, you can actually specify what kind of device you're trying to connect to. There's over 240 different devices that this application supports. If you click this drop-down box, you can look at, A10 load balancers, Aruba devices, all sorts of different Cisco devices, Dell, Extreme, HP, Nokia. It's got a Aruba, just a whole huge list of different devices it supports. And if you have that type of device, say it's a Mellanox switch, right? You can go ahead and click on that, Mellanox SSH, and then you can right click and execute the commands. Obviously these aren't Mellanox commands, but just to show you how that functionality works. All right, thank you very much. In the next video, we'll get onto some of the other tabs within the application.